One of my most asked questions is how I prepare a large canvas for cold wax and oils. And although it's not recommended to work on a flexible surface like the canvas, I do paint on canvas for my large portrait paintings. I'll show you the canvas I use and the steps I take to prepare the canvas for cold wax and oils. This is the canvas I use for my large paintings. It's important to have a thick canvas, and especially when you paint with cold wax and oils, you can see the sides are thicker than a regular canvas. So it has thick sides and a very sturdy frame. I start by stretching the canvas with these wooden wedges. I often get the questions from my students, what do we do with these wooden pieces? They're called wooden wedges, and we put them in the slots in the back of the frame like this with the pointy ends. So then you take a hammer and you have a stretched and tightened canvas, which is important when we paint in cold wax and oils, but also when we just paint in acrylics or in oils. So start by doing these wooden wedges into your frame. Second step. Before I start painting, I add 2 layers of gesso. Even if they say the canvas is primed, I do 2 layers of universal acrylic gesso, just from any brand, and apply it with either my bowl scraper or a palette knife, or you can of course use a brush too. If you like textures, you can already add textures with palette knife or with this texture tool, but I usually don't do it because I like my layers to be smooth to start with. So I just apply the 2 layers of gesso, let them dry in between, and then I start painting. Okay, step 3. I paint my edges in black before I start painting, and I would love to know if there's anyone else who does the same. So let me know in the comments if you're painting your edges at the end or in the beginning of your painting process. I'm taking just a student grade black paint to start with, mixed with a tiny bit of water. And when the painting is finished and there's paint on the edges, I pass 1 layer of golden acrylics in black over it to have a beautiful finish. Painting the edges black is also getting me into the painting process, and painting edges is also painting. So it often helps you if you don't feel like painting. It gives you just a start. And I like it because I don't like my edges to be white. They distract me. Okay, step 4, which I didn't do when I started out with painting in cold wax and oils. I then started immediately on the gessoed surface. But then I noticed that it takes a lot of paint, expensive oil paint, and a lot of cold wax to create lots of layers. So I decided to do a tryout with acrylics, first starting with acrylics and then cold wax, and it worked out fine. So that's what I do now. I do a dark underlayer of acrylics so that when you scrape back into your layers, you always have your darks and you won't scrape back into the gesso. And then often I do 1 layer, just a fun layer with gold, because I love gold in my paintings, and some bright color, bright green, turquoise, pink, before I start painting with cold wax and oils. And I apply these layers with a bowl scraper, but you can use the palette knife. You can also, like with the gesso, create textures already in this layer, but I'm just using the paint. No texture tools, and creating some textures with the bowl scraper, but not too much. And since it's on canvas, my layers are quite thin. Now I'm doing a second layer with my favorite color combination, gold and turquoise. And of course this layer will be covered up, but often it will shine through. Now we'll create some textures in this layer. And you don't have to cover everything up, you can just leave the dark layer shine through. So this layer is not very thick like all my layers on the canvas, but it just adds some interest to the painting. I love to start on a background like this now. A bit thicker. not sure if it's thick enough, but you can print in some bubble wrap. It always gives fun textures. What I like even more, I don't know if it's thick enough, is my embossed wallpaper. I think it gives just fun textures. That one is nice. It will be covered up, but still. Love your layers, that's what I always say. Even if it's just a base layer, make it as beautiful as possible. Some gold here and then I will let it dry. So this is how I start my canvas for cold wax painting. I let this acrylic layer dry thoroughly. If you think your acrylics are too smooth, sometimes it depends on the acrylic you use, you can always sand it down a bit to get more tooth, and then starting the cold wax and oil layer. So I'm applying the next layer, of course, with the ball scraper again, because you need big tools for a big canvas. And I'm using cold wax, oil paints, and I'm adding a bit of the solvent free gel in it, which makes the mix, cold wax and oil mix, a bit more flexible. This is me starting a cold wax and oil painting on an acrylic background. I only did one layer in this case. I then scribbled with the RNF pigment stick and started to paint in cold wax and oils. Using this mix, cold wax, oil paint and a bit of solvent free gel. And my first layers are always done with the ball scraper. And then later I use the palette knife more. And a bit of texture. And this is the way I build up my paintings. So now you know which steps I take to prepare my canvas for cold wax painting. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. There are a lot of cold wax videos already and there will certainly be more. So subscribe to my channel and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.